Welcome to Adam's Athenaeum. Let's take a look together through the news and records of our times as we try to shed light upon the unvarnished truth. Thanks for coming back to listen to this episode about how illegal immigration and the Biden administration are tearing America further apart. Let's go ahead and get started by going straight to an article from MSN.com. Now, these first two articles are going to be from last year. This first one from MSN is from October 19th, 2021. It says, Biden administration quietly flies illegal immigrants to New York in the middle of the night. The Biden administration has been quietly flying underage illegal immigrants from Texas to New York late at night for more than 2 months in an effort to resettle the tens of thousands of migrants taken into custody at the border in recent weeks, according to a new report. A New York Post analysis of online flight tracking data suggests that some 2,000 migrants have arrived at the Westchester County Airport in suburban New York on 21 flights since August 8th. Again, this was from last year. Many of the planes landed between midnight and 6:30 a.m. when a voluntary curfew is in effect. The next article from the Western Journal, this was from Sunday, July 31st, just this year. So a year has passed, but still this article's, a week and a half old. And it's titled, Biden admin secretly flying thousands of illegal migrants deep into the U.S. under the cover of night. While Americans sleep, the fly-by-night tactics of the Biden administration are delivering illegal immigrants to communities across the country, according to a new report. Ever since Joe Biden took office, the southern border has been flooded with illegal immigrants, which the Biden administration allows to remain in the U.S. as the influx of migrants continues to grow and the border crisis worsens. More and more of the Biden administration's policies have been revealed. In May, in Chattanooga, Tennessee, WCRB TV in Chattanooga reported on surreptitious strategy taking place there, in which migrant children who were flown in overnight were later bused to cities in Alabama, Georgia, and Florida. In August, neighbors of the airport in Abilene, Texas, reported to KTAB TV that Biden administration officials were using it as a jumping off point to fly illegal immigrants to points unknown across the country. And since these articles have come out, we've learned that, the Biden administration was using the United States Air Force to fly some of these migrants across the country. Well, it's gotten to a point where, with the illegal immigration specifically being highest in, let's say, New Mexico, Arizona, California, and Texas, where the border is, in Texas and Arizona, the governors, let me get their name, Texas Governor Greg Abbott and Arizona Governor Doug Ducey have been putting migrants on charter buses to protest the Biden administration's immigration policies. Essentially, what they've been doing is they've been sending busloads of illegal immigrants that they've caught or captured or detained, and they've been sending them to Washington, D.C., straight to the Biden administration. Now, why have they been doing this? At first, a lot of people, kind of myself included, thought it was more or less just a political stunt. Try to get some show or some attention to the issue that was going on. But was it really going to fix the issue? Not really, you're just moving the issue around. Well, the Washington mayor, Muriel Bowser, she has requested the National Guard to help after busloads of migrants cause a crisis. This is from the New York Post. Just this morning, put up July 28th. And they say Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser has requested the National Guard step in to help handle the arrival of thousands of migrants from the U.S.-Mexico border, saying the nation's capital has reached a tipping point. In a July 19th request for assistance to Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, Bowser reported that over 4,000 individuals arriving on nearly 200 buses have come to D.C. since April. when Texas Governor Greg Abbott and Arizona Governor Doug Ducey pledged to put migrants on charter buses to protest the Biden administration's immigration policies. Well, I say good on you guys. If the government's not going to help you deal with the problem, give the problem to the government to where they have to deal with it. I mean, it's not fair to these people. They are human beings. They deserve to be treated fairly, which they are. I mean, let's be serious here. They're illegal migrants. 5-10 years ago, ICE would have found them wherever they're at, detained them, arrested them, and taken them back to Mexico to release them. They don't do that anymore. So it's quite nice that we're just letting them live here, but it's still not fair that they're being used as pawns. Now, all of this kind of reminds me of the past a little bit. There's a news article that came out recently from the LA Times and Valiant News at valiantnews.com has also reported on this, that Mexicans are angered at the influx of Americans in Mexico City. I mean, I remember this from like 5, 10, maybe even 15 years ago when America started to first experience mass immigration from Mexico. You know, we had a lot of people that came here that didn't speak the language, that were working for lower wages, which was cutting the job market. You had people that were affecting the economy because they needed social welfare support, but they couldn't exactly provide to the economy. I mean, they weren't paying taxes because they weren't here legally. So if you're not a productive and paying taxes member of society, you're just kind of drawing from the system. You're not giving anything to it in return. Well, let's go to this article from Valiant News where they say, however, local residents are extremely concerned about gentrification and other problems in Mexico City as a result of the arrival of Americans. Our homes now house digital nomads, read a flyer from a tenant advocacy group. Posters have appeared all around the city telling Americans to get out. New to the city, working remotely, you're an effing plague and the locals effing hate you. They read in English. Leave. There's a tweet from Kate Linthicum on Twitter. Says Mexico City is being flooded by Americans, including legions of remote workers drawn by cheaper rents. They're transforming classic neighborhoods, the housing market, and even racial dynamics. More and more locals are asking them to go home. In the article, it continues to say that, you know, the Americans are only speaking English. They refuse to learn Spanish. It's just almost comical, right? That 5-10 years ago, if an American complained about illegal immigration, how it was affecting the economy and the culture, and how it was upsetting that a group of people comes to your nation without any intent to learn to speak the language. Language is a key factor just in personal relationships. In having a nation, you need to be able to communicate to your fellow neighbor, right? If you don't have a common language, do you have a nation? So I find it funny that 5-10 years ago, if you're an American and you were upset about the Mexican immigration or Southern American immigration to America and how it affected the economy, you're a racist. Well, now Mexicans are experiencing the same thing because they have a policy where you don't need, you can basically visit with a visa for about 6 months to Mexico if you're an American. So people are just kind of staying down there for 6 months during the COVID pandemic and lockdowns. Well, now these people are upset for the exact same reason Americans were. But now it's not racist. Isn't it weird? If you're a white person or an American and you experience the same thing a brown person or a Mexican does, it's racist if you're white, but it's not racist if you're brown. Hmm, interesting. It's kind of interesting that we see that this is a human experience, right? It's not just a white or an English or an American experience being about race, right? It's just how people feel. Like, if you want to live in a country, it would be respectful, let alone appropriate, if you spoke the language, if you knew the culture and respect the culture, if you want to be a part of that culture, if you want to help society and help society grow the way that that society is designed to function, right? America is a melting pot, and that is a great thing. Immigration is great when it's done legally. I mean, think of all the people that have been trying to get here for years legally. They've been spending thousands, presumably tens of thousands of dollars to try to get here legally, do the whole process, take tests, learn our culture and our language. And they've just been skipped over the past 5 years. I mean, decade, really, you know, by the tens of thousands, the millions of illegal migrants that have come into our country. Washington, D.C. sits here and complains because 4,000 migrants have come into their state, well, their city. How many migrants have come across the border just this year in Texas? If I remember right, I've heard 4 million. 4 million people came through Texas. And that's just the ones we know about. And you're upset in Washington, D.C. because you have 4,000. Hang on. You created a problem by allowing illegal immigration. And then you encouraged it, and then you promoted it. Now you're upset that states that have been overrun, overwhelmed, and decimated by illegal immigration and the effects thereof, you're upset because now they're handing the problem off to you. Again, the problem that you created as the federal government by not respecting our Constitution, our sovereignty, our borders. You have created the problem, and now you're asking for help. Where were you to help Texas, to help Arizona, to help New Mexico, to help California? You just left them high and dry. You didn't send ICE officials to go help deport illegal migrants. You complained that Trump put kids in cages, when really it was Obama and Biden that built the cages that housed illegal migrants. I find it funny that our government, our federal government, our leaders, the president, they not only encourage and support illegal immigration, but they aid and abet it. Nobody's charged. Nobody's derelict in their duty. Nobody's fired. Nobody's impeached. As my shirt says, my friends, exercise your right to vote. We've got to get Biden out of office. We've got to get Pelosi, Kamala Harris, Chuck Schumer, a lot of the Republicans, most Republicans. I mean, most of them are spineless. Most of them are rhinos, or, it's spelled R-I-N-O, Republican in name only, rhino. I mean, just on this last assault weapons ban that was voted on in the House, you had 2 Republicans vote to take away your Second Amendment rights, and it passed the House. So now it goes to the Senate. We've got people running this country that do not care for our Constitution, who do not care for our laws or its citizens. They only care about power. That's why they're allowing this illegal immigration. Think about it. Congressional seats are awarded on a state's populace, not legal or illegal populace, just the total amount of people in a state. So when Trump wanted to ask on the 2020 census, are you a legal citizen or are you not? And everyone said he was racist. There's a very important reason behind it. Do you ever wonder why California got a couple of extra congressional seats in this last election? It's because they have so many illegal migrants that added to their census numbers. They're not registered to vote. They can't legally vote. So why does California get extra congressional representation for people that aren't citizens? That's not fair to the other states who have legal citizenry. I would say impeach Joe Biden, but then we're stuck with Kamala Harris, who's nothing but heels up Harris and cackles her way through interviews, creating word salads and not saying anything. So then we'd have to impeach her. And then we're stuck with Nancy Pelosi, who's just as much off her rocker as everyone else. I apologize for all the animals in the background. I know it sounds like a zoo over here. It's just the neighbor's bird and my cat. They're hearing each other and they're trying to talk. But anyway, we've got to vote these people out, right? Impeachment isn't going to do, because we're just climbing rungs, but on the same ladder, right? We take Joe off, we're stuck with Kamala. We take Kamala off, we're stuck with Nancy. We take Nancy off, we're stuck with Schumer. Like, it's the same ladder. And if we go Republican, it's a single file ladder. We're just on the other side of it now. With Mitch McConnell, frog face, who doesn't stand up for anything. Do the Republicans stand up for anything? No, they're just a speed bump for what the left wants to do. Exercise your right to vote, my friends. Pay attention in politics. Pay attention to the news. Don't get your news from just one source. There's an interesting bit of statistics for you. The majority of Republicans get their news from pretty 50-50 left-wing and right-wing sources. Do you know where Democrats tend to get their news from? 90% left-wing sources. Interesting. No wonder some of these people live in an echo chamber or a little bubble and just can't accept the reality that the world is different than what they've been told. That MSNBC, MSN, ABC, CNN, Twitter, Yahoo, Facebook, they've all lied to you. They lie to your face every day. They omit truths and facts and data. Just like this January 6th commission, they call it the TV programming is coming to the end of at the end of this season. It's all a sham. Our government is a farce and they need to be replaced. Politicians have been up there in Congress, in the White House for far too long. And you need to pay attention on your ballots. You need to pay attention to district attorneys, sheriffs, mayors, governors, anyone that you can who hasn't stood up for your values 100% all the time, or at least the values they say they represent. Vote them out. They don't deserve their position. Politicians and bureaucrats are paid hundreds of thousands of dollars every year of our money. You deserve to fire them if they're not doing the right job. If you come from California and you hated how the policies have changed there over the last 4 or 5 years and it's just become a hellhole for everyone that lives there, don't move somewhere else and vote the same way you did. Learn from your mistakes. If you have recently moved away from somewhere, ask yourself, why did you move from there? Was it policies, laws, and the economy that you were leaving? And if so, do not repeat your same voting mistakes. Don't be lazy. Don't give in to the excuse of, I don't have enough time. While you're there on the crapper, checking your Facebook for 15, 20 minutes at work, you've got time to look up an article or two, to learn a little bit more about the world. While you're sitting there watching TV or just scrolling through your phone or sitting there bored with nothing to do, go educate yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. We all need to learn about the world around us and how our actions, how politics, how everything plays together right now. It's a very important time in society. And voting, it's about the last safeguard we've got. So exercise your right to vote. Make your vote count. Pay attention to politics. One thing I would also like to say, remember to treat your neighbor better than you treat yourself. I know over the last few years, it's been hard to treat yourself well. It's been hard to be good to yourself. Times have been hard and stressful. So I would say with some confidence that we probably haven't been treating our own selves that well. So if we go along with the golden rule, treat others how you want to be treated, I mean, if we haven't been treating ourselves that well, it's kind of to say that we won't treat others that well, right? So treat others better than how you treat yourself and better than how you want to be treated. People deserve it. Bringing goodness back into the world is a good thing. Bringing love and kindness is a good thing. We don't always have to yell and fight and have differences over petty things that don't matter. We don't have to disagree on every little thing and make every little thing political. We could just be Americans and agree that mass genocide in China against the Uyghur Muslims is a bad thing. But no, we're too busy caring about the Kardashians and our weekends and fentanyl overdoses, which is a problem, but all these things matter and we need to get the right politicians in. And I don't see any of them currently out there. So vote and vote well. Be learned and treat everyone good. Don't forget, my friends, I post videos weekly, sometimes twice a week, depends just how busy I am. Always trying to grow this channel. I want to make it more of a news channel and then grow as well like a opinion channel. And heck, one day, if we can get YouTube to really take off, I want to make a gun range, an outdoor gun range that has military simulation to it. How often can you find that for just a regular citizen? Got to start small to get somewhere big. You got to realize your goals and then chase them and be good to people along the way. I look forward to seeing you all here next time, and thanks for coming.